Morning, Paige. Marley, how are you doing this morning?
Morning, sir. Good. And yourself?
Not too bad. It's a bit of a up and down morning, to be honest. I mean, like Blue Monday is one of the descriptions that comes to mind. Today is the first day on campus that we welcome back our first years. That's more for orientation and stuff. So they don't have classes yet. So there was a bit more traffic on campus, and then the entire Centurion building, where most of us lecture from, haven't had power since Saturday. So it was a scramble to get a class to lecture from, and then I said, you know what, I'm going home. I can Zoom from home, like we did during hard lockdown. It's not a problem. There's no load shedding, but it might affect a lot of. It might, or it won't affect students at home. And you know what? So yeah, at least we live. We can continue with the work that we have planned for the week. I don't know how you feel about it, but I'm very glad that today is Tuesday already. Um, no, I'm only joking. I'm just being very sarcastic. The fact that it's a 4 day week means that we don't have anything happening on Friday because it's Good Friday for those who are into Easter. So actually, you could either get Friday off, or you get Monday off. Regardless, this is not a full week, but we've got a lot to discuss. Today's session, let me just get Jessica on board as well. Jessica's joining us. Today's discussion, um, I've I've identified a few services. I would obviously like to see what you guys what you guys have in mind. Do you have on your screens? Do you have on your screens that case study, a virtual tour South Africa? Can you see that? Anybody, just give me a thumbs up so I know if you see what I see.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, case study is virtual tour South Africa. Yeah, I've made a few changes now. I'll upload this to Canvases just as soon as the session is finished. But when we finished last week, I said I would like you to identify services, and I want you to then obviously each of them have a look at what the stages of the new service development is and apply it to that particular service that you have chosen, and then also do a service blueprint for that and do a service quality matrix for that service, and then we discuss it. But what I'm going to do is just to get the ball rolling. Um, an example on the screen is of a um, company in South Africa. And there are many in South Africa. They call themselves Virtual Tour South Africa. Basically, what it means is that they offer they offer their services to, and if you go onto their websites, virtualtours.co.za, you'll also see that they have the option of um, videos or a series of images to give you a 360. In this particular case, I've taken real estate, but there's others as well. Maybe there are people visiting a particular venue for the first time. Then they give them the option of just getting a virtual tour of, and even going to a mall. You won't believe how many people actually, as foreigners and tourists visiting our country, not at the moment, obviously, because of the restrictions, but they go onto. I sat with a friend from Holland when they visited just after I think we entered stage two, and we could travel a bit. So they visited South Africa around about November, and he showed me what he went through when he planned his trip. How many sites they've gone on to actually see if there is actually, um, and I suppose it's probably not a good reflection on human on humankind, because if people don't trust you because and therefore want to see if there is actually such a place as they've booked, um, it's probably not a good sign. But however, that's what people do nowadays. They have this they have access to those tools, and the virtual tour South Africa is one of those tools that, should you want to maybe book a B&B, should you want to maybe buy a house, it could be from as a foreigner, or it could be as a South African not staying in Cape Town. Um, then you basically can click on, if you go onto their site, you can click on the icons of all the estate agents groups in South Africa, Pam Golding and International Realtors and Property 24. There are so many. I mean, I can't name all of them, but you can actually click on that and see which properties are in the market, depending on if you want to rent, if you want to buy, or just want a holiday house. When I go up to Namibia for marketing, that's exactly. Let me just get Andrushka on board as well. Welcome, Andrushka. What I do when I go to Namibia for marketing and recruiting grade 12s to study at Stadio, um, I want to see where exactly this particular B&B or guest house that you've booked is located. Obviously, once you have that address, it's quite simple to do a Google Maps tour. But there are specific companies who offer a service like Virtual Tour South Africa. Just it's not what the initial um, maybe image that comes to mind is, and that they basically take you to different places in South Africa. So you can actually do a tour. You don't have to book to go to the Kruger National Park, or to one of the game reserves. You can actually have a virtual tour. Well, that's sort of the feature purpose of actually coming to South Africa, or going to a foreign destination, if you can actually experience that. But that's what kept a lot of people going during a hard lockdown, and with no date in mind as to whenever in future we'll be able to travel internationally again. As a matter of fact, while we're on the subject, for instance, I uh, was reading through the newspaper on the weekend, and there was an individual who was now being sued um, by a lot of clients. Apparently, he's a sort of a wedding planner, and this particular person, you go onto his website, the Office of Services, of anything from the wedding cake up to the venue, and the catering and everything, and you can decide, pick which ones you want. And this particular couple went onto the website of the venue that they were interested in, to see if that person is listed as one of their as one of their suppliers, or clients, um, just to make sure that they get proper reference. And as it turned out, this individual um, was actually somebody that was operating below the radar. A lot of the suppliers, once the couple have paid their deposit for their wedding reception, suppliers are not paid. The fact is, they went through a process. Even in the case like just planning a wedding, they went onto sites, they checked out the venue, they checked out the suppliers. These are functions and services that's available to us, and people are more wary and more cautious nowadays. But in this particular case, I think it is something that is definitely that kept the real estate industry going throughout lockdown, because people will always need a place to stay, or be it as an owner or as a tenant, and therefore this is a wonderful service that I think assisted this particular profession of real estate quite sufficiently, because people know they can't travel. They know they, even if they are in driving distance of the property that they're interested. They were not permitted to actually access those facilities because of the restrictions. They could actually go onto a site. They can have a virtual tour. It's your standard photographs and images that's usually on sites. It gives you an idea. But you know what people do? They obviously are going to just take the photograph at the best time of day when the sun is setting and the pool lights are on. It looks like a house from a magazine. Um, a virtual tour gives you an idea. It's not the ideal, but it gives you a taste. If it gives you that taste, it helps to either completely disqualify that particular property from your list, or to say, right, this is maybe in our box that of venues that we are interested in. We'll follow up later, and then obviously the role of the estate agent has not completely disappeared. They still have to perform that function. The fact is, for you to be able to, or for a company like Virtual Tours South Africa to be able to have those visuals on their site, they still need the estate agent to have permission from the owners of the property to take that video and promote their property in that particular fashion. When I moved into a new place just before hard lockdown last year, March, literally 2 days before hard lockdown, I know that during our sales process, um, I continuously were in contact with my agent who sent me information and said, listen, have a look at these properties before we actually book an appointment for you to view them. So I had visual tours of the three houses that I had on my shortlist finally, and then those three I actually visited through appointments that the estate agent made. So it's a wonderful service. It's an example of a new service that wasn't forced on us as a result of of the pandemic. It was something that was already happening before the pandemic, but it actually was just now elevated to another level because for a very long time, people were not permitted to actually visit properties, and still nowadays, some of the I spoke to an agent on the weekend. Some of the owners nowadays says you can sell my house, but I don't want anybody to actually view the home by visiting. There's no open houses, and that's a personal choice. I mean, it's not that it's prohibited. It's just a choice by the owners. They said, listen, I don't want people moving in or walking around my house when I'm away for the day while you're showing the house to them because I don't know if they are positive or not. So people are extremely wary nowadays because of the virus, which is sad, but I mean it's reality. So as a result of that, a lot of new services have obviously materialized. So just to kick off the whole process, what sort of challenges? I've mentioned some challenges that owners, property owners, property sellers, property buyers, as well as the agents who basically who act as the middleman between the seller and the buyer in a process like that. What sort of challenges do you think an online service that is offered now by estate agents could offer those or could present itself to those stakeholders that I've just mentioned? From the buyer's point of view, what sort of challenges are there um, regarding a service that we've just explained, or that I've just explained to you about virtual tours about the house that you are interested in buying? Anybody? It's just Jessica, Marley, Andrushka, and Paige um, in the session today. Anybody? If
So it could also be like the area.
yeah.
So not necessarily only the house. If it's online, you don't necessarily get like a full feeling of the area and its safety and stuff.
Do you think the fact that you have to, as a potential buyer, have to do a lot of legwork in preparation? In other words, go onto the site, um, draft a short list of the properties that you're interested in based on the images that you have on the screen, um, then even going onto the virtual tour, the 360-degree tour, if there's an option like that, without actually knowing in what, well, vaguely knowing what area, because it will be listed in a particular area. but you don't really know the location, if it's a corner plot or not, and then you have to do an additional search and maybe go onto Google Maps, and then you can actually have a more accurate idea of the location. But still, especially if you're not familiar with, if are most of you from the northern suburbs of Cape Town? Jessica, Andruska, Marley, Paige, you guys mostly from the northern suburbs?
I'm from the southern suburbs.
Now, if you have to buy a place in Camps Bay, for instance, even though it's just a couple of, if it's just a few kilometers down the road and maybe half an hour's drive, you still don't have an idea and a feel for the immediate, for the environment. You won't get that from a virtual tour. So that, yes, is a challenge that that buyers might have. Not knowing exactly what the location is. I know that, as a matter of fact, and I'm saying this tongue in cheek, the first 10 years of my marriage, I moved every year, or we moved every year. In year one, we moved from renting to buying our first property. The second year, we moved our campus of the college that I was running. Then the third year, we moved house again. Then the fourth year, we moved campus again. Then the fifth year, we moved house again. And that continued for 10 years, up to the point where I think, as I said, tongue in cheek, I thought maybe we should go see somebody because I think we have a problem. But the reality is obviously you go through different phases in your life, and as a result of that, your needs change, and then obviously you're looking for bigger property. Now I'm at that phase of my life where I'm actually downscaling because the kids are moving out the house, and you don't need the property that you needed 10 years ago because your needs are different. But I know for a fact that out of all those options, or all those transactions that we went through, it was the same process was always followed, but I never, ever put pen to paper before I have not stepped into that place. And I promise you, I think about 90% of the time, once you walk into a place, regardless if you've seen it online, you've seen the images, or you've gone on a virtual tour, there's a vibe about the place. I know that the last house that we moved in, my wife walked in, and we don't know what the price is. We've never seen this place. It was one of those drive arounds on a Sunday afternoon, taking the kids for ice cream, and then all of a sudden, oh, this is a house on show. Let's see. All right, walked in. Immediately, we went through the reception area, and she said, "This is the house for us." I said, well, "We haven't seen the place. We don't know how many bedrooms there are. We don't know what the price is. Nothing." The fact of the matter is, you get a feel, and that's the one thing, unfortunately, that that a virtual visit to a premises, regardless if it's for business or commercial, and for commercial reasons, or if it's for residential reasons, yeah, that would be a challenge for a buyer, not getting the full picture. Obviously, there's still a disclosure clause in the contract that you can't just buy a property on, or you have the option of stepping out of the agreement if the virtual tour and the actual visit is not the same. But I will not buy a house if I haven't set foot in that particular place, regardless what the circumstances are. So that is a challenge. Challenge for sellers. What do you think from a seller's point of view? Do you think what sort of challenges are there for the sellers when it comes to virtual tours? Does it benefit them? Are there disadvantages? What do you think? Jessica? Andrushka? Marley? I'm probably talking...
Ek dink meneer vir die sellers is dit nee, well, dis kind of a benefit, maar jy kan nie regtig 'n huis verkoop as 'n seller dit nie vir jou soos voor jou verkoop nie, as meneer verstaan wat ek sê.
Ja. Dit is 'n so met ander woorde, dink julle, and if we summarize everything, because I want to step off this case study and move to another one, do you think that based on our discussion now and information on the table, that a service like like offered by Virtual Tour South Africa is, do you think there's a sufficient market for it? Regardless the advantages and disadvantages for the different parties. Would a business like this, if it's pursued by anybody, would that, if it's planned properly and if it's modified regularly, is there a need for a service like this?
So I don't think like nationally there is, but it could be a very cool international, like to get international people to buy houses and stuff, they'd have to use a virtual tour of South Africa, but not necessarily nationally.
Because I'm not going to pay 90,000 rand for a return trip to Cape Town just to see a house that's in the market that I'm interested in. You're probably going to buy it online, and then hopefully you're not disappointed when you get here. No, I think there's definitely, you're right, there are challenges, but there is a different need for something like this if it's designed properly, and then it brings the reason why I've asked this question is because the first question, remember, that we ask when we're designing a new service is, what's the purpose? What are we trying to achieve? What's the objective of the service that we're offering? If the objective is to offer greater convenience to both buyers and sellers, because people don't have to, the people that you will bring to the house that's for sale will be the people who are seriously interested because they've gone through a screening process of properties. Secondly, it offers them a greater scope of places to choose from, where they might have just been limited to a specific area because they can drive there. Now they can actually, and especially if you are transferred by your employer and you need to move from Western Cape to Gauteng, for instance, you can't travel up and down between Gauteng and Cape Town to find a house to stay. So you are probably, you have to rely on a service that's at least going to give you a better idea of where the property is and what the property offers. I know that when I sold one of my houses, it was, as a matter of fact, it's a very small world. When it was, I think, the first house that we built and the only house that we built. So that's probably whatever people have said to you. If you want to test a relationship, then do a renovation at home or build a house together as husband and wife. Because if you survive that, then you can survive everything. So the fact is, we went through that, and that particular house was sold, and it was sold to a doctor from Pretoria who's been traveling to Cape Town for 6 months every weekend to find property before he can relocate his family. And yeah, small world, as I say. When I went in for my operation in January, the anesthetist for was this particular doctor. We were hidden behind masks, but immediately we recognized it and I said, "You are, yeah, oh my goodness." So the fact is, yes, in his case, he had to travel, but then that's just local. It is a service that will definitely be able to address the needs of more people, and it will bring more properties into the bouquet that you can select from. Okay, let's step off this particular subject. By the way, for the four of you, Jessica, Andruska, Molly, and Paige, who's attending today's session, we're only going to have the 40-minute session. Okay, there's no, you don't have to rejoin after the 40 minutes of Zoom session is finished. I think there's there's just too many things on campus that I have to attend and balance. And as I said, at the moment I'm doing this from my home office, but we'll be back for a full 1-hour session tomorrow if the electricity is sorted out. But no, it's not it's not going to affect the quality of the work that we do. What I have done is I asked you for, and anybody can go first. And if you do not have and haven't prepared anything, then I'm going to leave you with 5 options of services that we're going to discuss tomorrow. Right? Who's prepared something for me for today? Of the 4 of you that have joined, who's identified a service and you? Yes.
Meneer, ek het.
Right. What is your service wat jy geïdentifiseer het?
Okay, so what I identified is a new service. So it's kind of like a clothing app that you make, and then you can download a virtual you on the clothing app. And then you can, according to your virtual you adjust your measurements, like your waist size and your thigh size, etc. And then to buy clothes, they tell you on the app what size clothes you are, so you don't have to go into the shop. So you customize your own little virtual you, and then they tell you, okay, you'll be a size large, and that's what you have to order according to your size, if you understand what I'm saying. So that's what I came up with. That's just an easier way for people that doesn't want to go into clothing stores, or if people want to order like internationally and stuff like that.
Because we all know that the mirror in the shops make you look fatter.
Yeah.
And we also, hopefully clients won't lie and about their height and their weight. And obviously, for the whole app to be successful, obviously they need to be honest about that. Otherwise, they're going to get something in that they've ordered online that it's not going to fit them. So we're assuming that they're going to be honest about that information. For that particular reason, I think there needs to be a proper disclosure in the service that you offer to ensure that the information is going to remain secret, and you're not going to share that with other suppliers, or it's confidential. So if you are 183 and you're 95 kgs, it's fine. It's going to stay with us and between us, and that's quite nice. 20 years ago, 30 years ago, that's what little girls did with their Barbie dolls, and trying mix and match different suits. But yeah, it's wonderful. I like the idea. It's a good idea. Right, we've got about 2 or 3 minutes to go before the session finishes. What I want you to look at is the following. Those 3 questions that I asked you last week. I want you to visit the websites of those 5 services that I've identified there. I'll briefly tell you what each of them are about. Golf to Africa. Golf to Africa, they do tours to South Africa for tourists. People want to play golf at the 5 best golf courses in, say, the Western Cape. They want to go on, but they additionally offer them services like accommodation in certain hotels. They take them on game drives, they take them on to wine estates, to all the different scenery, up Table Mountain, to tourist sites like Robben Island. So that's part of their package and the service that they offer. Home personal trainers have become very popular, especially during lockdown. So the trainer, you don't have to go to the gym anymore, because only so many people can go to the gym, and the social interaction is not as great as it was previously. Now you can actually have me visit you, or you can actually go onto my website. I'm streaming live certain group sessions like Pilates or a spin class that I'm doing at certain times during the day. So that's an additional service. Fixer is it's mechanics that come to you while you are at work between 8 in the morning and 5 in the afternoons. You can't get your car into service, or you do not have somebody that can pick you up once the service is done and stuff like that. So they come to wherever your car is during the day, parked in the parking lot or underground at your work. They will come service your car there on the premises. So that's mechanics going to you. Delico is a family farm just outside of Malmesbury towards Rebecca Still. I've used their services before. They supply meat to pick and pays and spas all over the Western Cape, but they also do deliveries 3 times a week to certain selected points in the northern suburbs, where you can place your order on site and pay them, and they will deliver it. And the truck is there. The truck is there and that particular on that particular day at that specific time, and you have already pre-packed everything like you've ordered, and you can just collect it. WeQueue for You is something that I'm considering to use because, and what WeQueue for You specifically do is they do vehicle registrations and all these things that you have to go stand in a queue at traffic department or your local municipality when your motor vehicle license needs to be renewed, or there's a maybe a change of ownership because you sold one of your cars. They will stand in the queue for you and they will complete the transaction, especially for people who are very busy, because usually the municipalities and the traffic departments open from 8 in the morning till 4 in the afternoon, or even 3:30 in some cases, and then people can't get there. And then it's open one Saturday, the first or the last Saturday in the month for 3 hours. People do not have the time to queue nowadays. I was on my way to have my vehicle registration renewed on Friday morning, and I was at the robot. I ended up behind a Golf that says, "WeQueue for You. Do you want your registration?" And I thought, oh my goodness, if I only knew this yesterday, I would not have been going to them today and stand in the queue. So that's what WeQueue for You do. Those are 5 different services in different industries, and I think what I would like you to do for tomorrow is prepare the 3 questions that we have for discussion. In other words, the stages of the new service development. Remember, that's generating ideas and the planning and everything that needs to happen. And then the service blueprint. As I said, do a service blueprint. Make sure that your service blueprint, obviously, I'm going to go back to that page, that your service blueprint include the following aspects. I'm going to try and get that image on the screen if my mouse is going to be kind to me. Okay, there we go. Hang on. Microsoft PowerPoint to stop working. How can you stop working? I've not asked you to stop working. So I'm going to try and get to that image that is going to, sorry, unfortunately, that screen has, I'm going to try and share that screen again. Hopefully we will be able to get to that page that I'm interested in. The page I want to specifically look at is that one, Services Blueprint. Remember that the aspects that we must have in a service blueprint is the time, the evidence, customer journey, the front stage, the back stage, or as they call it, the front office and the back office, as well as the support processes. So look at each of those 5 services that I've listed for you, and then try and get that, enlarge that for you. And then for each of those, roughly on a piece of paper, so we can discuss it. Have the time, the evidence, the customer journey. Where does the customer journey start? What is the front office? What's the back office activities of this particular service, or the 5 services that I've listed, and the support processes. They will be different for all of them, and some of them might not have everything for each of these elements. But those are the crucial elements that we prefer to have in a case study, in a blueprint. Okay. Let's do the blueprint for tomorrow. Prepare the blueprint for me on those 5 services for tomorrow. We'll discuss that. And then the following day, we will do the service quality matrix for the same 5 services. Any questions regarding this? Are you quite happy? Or are you quite, do you understand what I want from you? While I have a cup of tea?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Good. Yes, is there a question, or is it fine?
No, yes, it's fine.
You're quite clear, you know what each of these services do. And then you also obviously have access to their website. So you just can, those are the, you can go on Golf to Africa, that's the actual website. Fixer is .co.za is the website. Delico.co.za is the website. WeQForYou.co.za. Those are all websites that you can, if you just Google the name, it will pop up immediately. And get a feel for read that homepage, so you can get a feel for what the business is about, to get you an idea of how they got to the point that they offer that service. Like Delico, for instance, they were established way back in 1893. So I think it's fourth generation farmers on that farm, and they initially obviously were just farmers who sell their goods to the market. And then everything has changed over obviously the century that they've been operating or farming, and now people say, but you know what? If I and a lot of people obviously realize that when they see the Delico trucks at different supermarkets when they're delivering their meat, and they say, wow, my goodness, I can use this. I see that particular Pick and Pay that I always buy my meat from actually get the meat from Delico. Maybe I should buy directly from Delico, and then I know that I can collect it at certain points and certain times during the day. Wonderful. It saves you a bit. Yeah. I'm not sure what the difference in prices are, but obviously when you go onto the site, you can see what the prices of the different items are, and you can order accordingly. So go onto those sites, get an idea of what the business is about. Draft quickly for me what the service blueprint for each of those, and we can discuss that tomorrow. And then for Wednesday, we'll look at the service quality matrix. Probably not for all 5 of those, but yeah, I haven't made up my mind. We can discuss that tomorrow, of which of these 5 services you would like a service quality matrix design, so we can actually unbundle it and analyze it in more detail, so we understand the process. Okay, is everybody good with that? Everybody understand what's expected for tomorrow?
Yes, thank you, sir.
No problem. Hang in there. It's as I said, it's Tuesday already. We only have Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday to go, and then we have a weekend. Or you can say it's Monday today and we don't have a Friday this week. Whichever way you look at it, it's 4 days this week. So yeah, give your best for 4 days. Thanks. Stay safe. We chat tomorrow again. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, sir. Bye.
No problem. Bye-bye.
Bye, sir.
Bye-bye. Thanks, Marley.